it's just a show that I'm great at. I'm eating steak and potatoes on the way to Decatur. Maybe there's just a little made up.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So we got to talk about Platinum Max Caster and the controversy surrounding AEW Dark episode 100, where he made a rap and people got upset about it. So what did he say? These were the lyrics. The acclaimed kicking ass for miles make you claim mental health like Simone Biles. The Seidel's gonna pay the cost. I'm gonna treat those bitches like Duke Lacrosse. The blondes say they the best, but those dudes are faker than a PCR test. And what's the smell here in North Carolina? Oh wait, that's Julia's. Oh, and I'm guessing they meant vagina. So, I'm almost 40. I don't have the constitution to be upset about everything. I have a little bit of stronger constitution than that. Not only because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s where rap was really offensive, and it was offensive on purpose, but all the movies were offensive back then. All the TV shows were offensive. I mean, compared to today, everything was offensive in the 90s. You know, you had to have a thick skin, especially in the 80s too. So for me, this is Max Caster, who is a few years younger than I am. You know, he's a little bit older than he looks. He's just being a tryhard. You know, sometimes when people claim they want edgy content, and then when somebody does anything remotely edgy, people flip out. You can't take it. They just jump all over it. It's like, what the hell? Stop calling for edgy content and then getting offended at the edgy content. You don't want edgy content, okay? That's not what you want. Just say you want AEW to be PG, just like WWE, so you can complain that all wrestling is for children. Because you have to be a child to be that upset about this. You could say it was tasteless, which, you know, fair enough. It was tasteless. Most rap is tasteless anyway. But to be like offended and emoting about it, come on, bro. So I really don't have a horse in the race. The people at AEW took it down. They edited out Max Caster's rap because reasons. That's only going to suggest that people do it more. That people are upset even more. So this is obviously a good bait for a SMARK tier segment, but we're not going to go through Twitter first this time. We're actually going to go through WrestlingInc.com's comment section for this time. We're probably if we under 30 minutes or something like that, we might go through Twitter. But let's see what people who are really in the core of the wrestling sphere, what do they believe? It says, the only thing worse than Max Caster's rap is anyone who uses the word snowflakes or sensitive to defend it. Look, I'm a huge AEW mark, and I appreciate humor that passes the limits of bad taste. I liked Max's previous raps that some people thought were offensive. Honestly, I didn't even think his line about Simone Biles was all that bad. Although the people who are knocking her for dropping some of her events probably get winded reaching for the TV remote. She is a national treasure that should be appreciated as such. This is a long comment, so I'm just gonna stop right here. I'm gonna read the rest of the comment, but I want to comment on this. The Simone Biles situation is a big. I don't think you saying that. Oh well, you can't do it is not an effective defense of whatever Simone Biles is going through. It's okay for people to not want to perform, though. I mean, if she doesn't want to do it for any reason, so what? I think that she wasted the money and the time of the people who trained her and people who spent money training her, people who spent money sending her to Tokyo. If she didn't want to perform, she should have just stayed her ass at home. But, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do. Like, again, one of my favorite axioms is you can't force people to do what they don't want to do. You know, which, by that same token, if people are upset that she's not going to go out there and represent the country, they have a right to say so. Plus, let's talk about what Max Caster said about her. All he did was say, I'm going to make you claim mental health like Simone Biles. I saw somebody on Twitter say, well, Charlotte shouldn't have mentioned her either. I'm like, come on. We just roping Charlotte into this thing because it's an AEW bad thing. It's always got to be fed bad. You know, the E bad. They did something bad. It's like Charlotte referenced it. She didn't say anything negative about Simone Biles. She didn't say anything positive about Simone Biles. The only thing she really said was, I empathize with her. And it's like, oh, nobody should mention this. It's like, come on. You can't mention current events in wrestling now? Come on, stop it. Let's go back to this comment. However, the Duke lacrosse line was entirely too far. I didn't even get it at first because I'm from Maryland and hate Duke lacrosse. I was like, yes, Max, defeat them soundly as the Terps would do to the Blue Devils. But then I played it for my girlfriend and she reminded me of what they did in 2016. Nope. 2006, I'm sorry. Nope. That topic is not an acceptable joke topic in 2021. It just isn't. The only people who still think that topic, which I'm avoiding naming by name so my post doesn't get filtered, is acceptable for jokes do not respect women. So their opinion on the matter is invalid. Times change, comedy changes, adapt or die. For starters, the Duke lacrosse thing was a whole hoax. It was a hoax. It was fake. Nobody was actually hurt. There's been a lot of talk about the Duke lacrosse case all of a sudden. People must have forgotten that it was a false rape accusation. I know that's news to some people, and I'm not going to litigate it here. Normally, I would do some real digging on this subject, but no. The Duke lacrosse case, those guys did not go to jail because they didn't do anything. So it's still tasteless because, I mean, hey, they ruined the lives of the players. Whenever somebody is, accused of sexual assault or rape or something like that, their lives are really ran through the mud and they were absolutely destroyed. But that's not what we're upset about. We're upset because somebody, somewhere, some woman is going to get offended. Even when it was a fake rape case. It wasn't even a real rape case. But I guess that's what happens. Like, the truth doesn't go very far. So let's go back to this comment. I really hope Max does not lose his job over this. Why the hell would he fire him over this? Why? They just took it down and probably told him, hey, there are certain subjects we're not going to go around. Come on. AEW is a social media savvy company. They should have noted the backlash and edited it out. They didn't. Max needs to apologize and AEW needs to release a statement, maybe a suspension a la Sammy, but then let this be a learning moment and move past it. Suspension? You're going to suspend him? What is up with these punitive ass people? It's like, only thing I would have done, here's how I would have handled it. I would have probably sent Max a text message like, man, just stay away from rape stuff, okay? Just leave it alone. If it got anything to do with rape, let it go. The Simone Biles thing, we're just going to move past it. We're going to focus purely on the whole rape case. Let's stay away from rape and sex, okay? Let's keep it violent, because apparently you can shave people across the head with pizza cutters in AEW. You can stab people in the head with forks and some fluorescent light tubes. But my God, if you say something that might trigger a woman, then for fuck's sake, you might get suspended. It's not even the same league of what Sammy Guevara said. Not even in the same continent. Right? These are two different kinds of... Sammy Guevara said he wanted to rape Sasha Banks. That's a completely different... No, that's a completely different thing. That's completely different. Wouldn't happen if somebody in charge at AEW knew what they were doing. Somebody should have anticipated the reaction to this dollar store John Cena and nixed it. Simple as that. And the cult can whine about snowflakes all they like. But that's exactly who AEW were targeting with their Nyla Rose censor bags and Cody ending racism. Live by the sword. This is an absolutely good point. They have been courting this audience. And every time AEW gets busted for doing something offensive or crossing the line, it's always the same people. It's never the fans of the Attitude Era who thought this stuff was super offensive and super over the line. It's almost always people who are around Max Caster's age. I think Max Caster is 32. So he's not in my age group, but he's in his early 30s. So he's probably, maybe a child, like a real literal kid when the Attitude Era happened. And it's a lot of those people that ended up being the snowflakes of today. Not people like me who were teenagers, but people like him who were preteen or just like 9 or 10 or whatever. They ended up being real snowflakes, and it's sad because there's a lot of 30-year-olds out here complaining about how people feel. Holy shit. That's weird. And people were begging for an Attitude Era 2.0 with more adult themes. Yeah, they kind of were, and they're not ready for it. That's not what they want. Let's go over to the peanut gallery of Twitter now. AEW actually aired Max Caster's rap, which involved a shot at Simone Biles and a Duke Lacrosse rape joke. Fucking disgusting. I guess this is the account that started it because it's at the top. I'm a huge fan of Max Caster and the Acclaim, but this shit is so unacceptable. And the same thing goes for Charlotte Flair on Monday night. This is horrible, and mental health issues is not a thing to make jokes about because a lot of people go through that shit. Okay. What did Charlotte have to do with this? What did Charlotte didn't make a joke about Simone Biles' mental health? That's insane. Great heels today don't ever need to resort to cheap heat because they are proficient in their art and natural psychologists. Using sexual assault and emotional mental illnesses for reactions show that you're inept in this field. By the way, Julia Hart is 19 and Max Caster is 32. So she's an adult and he's an adult? Is that what we're supposed to get from this? Because I didn't think that you could be more adult than another adult. If she can, well, she can't buy alcohol. So, but that's stupid. That she can buy cigarettes, but she can't buy alcohol. She can sign up to go to war. You know, if they could put her in a death match and she'd get hit in the head with a fluorescent light tube. But heaven forbid you mention that she has a vagina. Fuck's sake, you can't do that. You mention her vagina and you're over the age of 22, you're basically a rapist. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Max Caster is a 32-year-old man just made a joke about mental health, a rape joke, and a joke about a 19-year-old's private part all in the span of 1 minute. If you think this is good because it gives him, quote, heel heat, please seek professional help. I don't think it gives him heel heat at all because the fact of the matter is people are supposed to laugh at jokes. Okay, so it doesn't really do any good. That's the thing about this whole rape thing. It's like, or rape thing, this whole rap thing. Because if you do it well, then it turns you babyface, and then you cease being a heel. It's a weird situation. If you're offended by Max Caster's bars about Simone Biles or Duke Lacrosse, then don't listen to early Eminem or pre-Flower Boy Tyler the Creator. Oh yeah, before Tyler the Creator turned out to be let's not go there. But he was offensive on purpose. That what was it called? Odd Future? They were offensive on purpose. You know, there have been guys who have been rapping about cannibalism and all kinds of other, absolutely the amount of murder that takes place in rap songs. You know, it's just insane. And people who get upset about this stuff, it's kind of like, what the hell are what's going on, man? Both Charlotte and Max Caster's references in regards to Simone Biles have mental health weren't it at all. And if you're defending it by saying their heels are supposed to make you mad, that ain't either. Mental health isn't anything to mess around with ever. So this is just another list of things that you can't say online or ever. I mean, for people who are supposed to be rebels, there's just so many rules to everything that they do. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about this. Offense can only go one way. You know, it's if it wasn't about Simone, let's say if it was a joke about Steven Crowder and his lung collapsing, and all the people who claim to be good, tasteless, empathetic individuals who were making jokes about Steven Crowder's lung collapsing and him almost dying, or about, politicians who get COVID and, end up in the hospital, and all those people who wanted them to die. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody making a reference. Some people need to know what a reference is and what a joke is. Okay? Charlotte made a reference. I don't even know why she's even involved with this, because it's been 2 or 3 days since Raw, and nobody, there was no big blow up. And more people watched that than watched AEW, and nobody was offended by the Simone Biles reference. But now, all of a sudden, because AEW made a Simone Biles reference that wasn't meant to be a joke, and not really even a knock on her, all of a sudden, we have to rope Charlotte into this too. It's like, stop doing that, man. This is lame. Max Caster's rap was the fucking shits. Ugly. Witness. Irresponsible. That it made air suggest total incompetence in one arm of the company that is aggressively expanding. This is bad. Left unchecked, and it just might, more disasters like this await. A disaster? This is a disaster? This counts as a disaster? Who is this guy? Oh, okay. Never mind. Never mind. Being a drama queen is exactly what these people do at What Culture. Never mind. Max Caster really said, "Oh, cheap jabs about mental health offend you. Let me raise you about sexual assault. Shit wasn't funny or clever. You can play sides all you want, but wrong is wrong." All of these guys are like generic looking white dudes with ironic beards. I look, I'm not about the one to play that game, but it's like all of these dudes are like early to mid 20s. You know, I grew a beard, so you think I'm a man, but I'm like really skinny and vegan. It's like, come on, get the fuck out of here. Who cares about this stuff? Like, like why are you upset about this? It's witless and disgusting. I wouldn't be surprised if Max Caster is handed his termination papers after this. If you fire Max Caster for this, that'd be the dumbest shit in the world. They're not going to do that. Come on. This isn't okay. Mental health and rape isn't a joke, and Max Caster rapping about those topics isn't good heel work, not one bit. Well, no, it's not good heel work because he's not a good heel, but this is stupid. I didn't know mental health was a protected class now, you know, especially with all the people who call Vince McMahon demented. Oh, he's got dementia. He's so old. Like, ageism is a bad thing. Right? When somebody hinted that Mickey James might be old, then all of a sudden, oh, I can't believe she ever say that. It's like, well, compared to somebody who's 26, she is old. You know, Vince McMahon is objectively old. He's 75. But every time somebody talks about him, they say, oh, the 70-year-old. They talk about how old he is. That's the thing about this whole offensive garbage. Who decides what's offensive and when? It's okay to be ageist. Like when Dave Meltzer was talking about, oh, the WWE roster is so old. But then he stopped talking about how old they were when it became obvious that, you know, that Christian was coming in and a bunch of guys who were over the age of 30, like Miro and Malachi Black were coming in. All of a sudden, he buttoned his lip about how old the WWE roster is. Funny how that works. That's why I don't take this stuff seriously. Like, these people don't even mean it. Max Caster just increasingly ups the insensitivity in his raps. Like, yo, don't get mad at me. I pulled up in a Honda. Better take shelter like Hotel Rwanda. Okay. People are disappointed. Somebody said that they're disappointed in him. They're disappointed in him. What is going on here? See, even if I thought, okay, they might have a point, the amount of dramatic license given to this whole thing is it's absolutely absurd. You know, like it's absurd. Like, this is not Katie Vick we're talking about here. Like, Katie Vick was something that was both rape and necrophilia and out and out weird. And if that was, people were to like act a fool over that, I still would probably say, no, it sucked. But I'll just kind of be like, well, it wasn't a real girl, you know. Like, it's you have to compartmentalize these things, and these folks would not have lasted a minute in Vince Russo's Attitude Era. They wouldn't have lasted a minute. They'd have been in there panicking like some corporate stooge. Oh my God! Somebody has breast on TV. Can't do that. Blur it, please. It's like she's wearing perfect clothes, but I can see her nipples through her gown. Max Caster and Anthony should have realized it was wrong. Wrestlers they discussed the entrance with should have realized. Tony Khan producers watching live should have realized. Editors should have realized. It made... All right, so this is interesting. If you're okay with the rape joke Max Caster said on AEW because he's a heel, then you're okay with the line WWE when Abraham Washington daunted Kobe Bryant and his sexual assault case because he's a heel. Being a heel is no excuse to make unacceptable comments. The weird thing is the heels are supposed to make unacceptable comments. Why do you think that heels are supposed to be politically correct? They're bad people. I don't remember the Abraham Washington thing. I remember he got fired for saying a joke about Kobe Bryant. I do know that. But he was very low on the totem pole. And I guarantee if John Cena would have said something similar to what Abraham Washington said, he probably wouldn't have got fired. I probably could look it up. Let's look it up what he said. Now, how ironic that the Bleacher Report title for this article is WWE News. Abraham Washington's firing shows that the promotion is going downhill. How ironic. All right. So what did he say? His given name was Brian Jossie. Let's see, what did he say? Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant at a hotel in Colorado. He's unstoppable. Oof. 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 Yeah. That was a stiff line. That was stiff. That's the rape joke. That's a rape joke. All right. That one was maybe, I don't know if I would have fired him, but that was a little stiff. Maybe I think that maybe the Kobe Bryant thing, because of who Kobe Bryant is, that's probably why they fired him. And WWE is also a lot more sensitive than most other wrestling companies, because even in 2012, it was still kind of PG. And even mentioning rape is kind of like a no-no, because they have very sensitive sponsors. When you operate at that level, people are really paying attention to what you say and do. So here's the problem. When you pretend you're in a company that has moral high ground over people like Hogan and shit, then you hear stuff like this, and it reveals what most of us already knew. Your woke image is a work for the younger fans because they believe you. Oh. Whoa. That was good. That was stiff. It's very true. So this is how you deal with this. What you do is you have him do a promo where he kind of stands at the top of the stage or something like that with his mouth covered, like he's being censored by AEW, and let that be his gimmick. That he kind of goes along like Snake Eyes, like he took this vow of silence, like he's really being censored. Like you treat him as if he's being what's the word I'm looking for? Persecuted, and you let that be the gimmick, let him be like or you start printing like parental advisory t-shirts and all that kind of stuff with the Acclaimed name on it. You find some way to lean into this. You don't just surrender to the mob and do what the mob tells you to do. You find some way of making it work. So as long as they're trying to have fun with it, you're never going to get any heat, and it's just going to be fun and games. So lean into it a little bit. I would personally put like duct tape over his mouth, and he will refuse to talk, and you'll let the other guy talk, and then you would do like parental advisory t-shirts and stuff like that, and not PG shirts and stuff like that. You could just lean into it. If he's smart, he would turn this into a way to make it work for him. If he's just doing a gimmick that Tony Khan told him to do, then he's probably going to be dead in the water already. In any event, so this is Max Caster being offensive, quote unquote. Anyway, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel, sponsor the channel if you can, via Subscribestar or via the Cash App. Either way, thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
I can only